Today we are at Guilford Courthouse National Military Park, which is the site of a Revolutionary battle which happened on March 15, 1781, with 4,400 American troops or Continentals and about 1,500 British troops. The Continentals were commanded by Nathaniel Greene, and the British were commanded by Lord Cornwallis.
So as you can see behind us, this particular battlefield has, I don't remember what it said, over 30 different monuments for just about anybody or anything that happened during this particular battle. You'll see some pretty big ones here and there, and then some smaller ones. So we're excited to go and find some monuments and experience fall in the battlefield.
Yep, this definitely, the fall is hitting hard right now.
Yeah, it's beautiful. No matter what John says, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
See? He doesn't know what beautiful is. All right, we'll see you inside. Muskets, bayonets, and swords. Revolutionary War period. Smooth bore muskets. Okay. Bayonets could rush in to create panic and break the enemy's formation. Cartridge boxes, cannonballs, muskets, and this drum and fife were actually used at this battlefield.
So the figures out here are depicting the North Carolina militia, who around 1:15 on that day came from the first line of defense, basically, to our left, and then ran across. And then later, because they're being pursued by the Redcoats, and then about 300 yards that way, that's where the Redcoats ran into the the American second line. So it was split up different lines.
So this was kind of a trick?
No, I think they're being overrun. It doesn't specifically say that, but they were in such a hurry they dropped ammunition, equipment, and even rifles. So.
And this was militia. This wasn't.
Yeah, from North Carolina.
Okay. So it wasn't actual army forces. It was militia.
Yeah.
This is Monument Row. This is a picture of an old postcard. It's what it used to look like, and it no longer looks like that. They've taken down the arches for some reason. Okay, so to clarify, this particular battlefield has 32 monuments from just about anybody and everybody who participated, depending on what their role was, what they did, and that kind of thing. So we'll see more. Okay, we are at stop number 1 here on the battlefield walking tour, and we just wanted to let you know that this is the first American Revolutionary War battlefield to be preserved. Was preserved in 1917. So it's pretty, it's definitely oldest, I guess, and pretty impressive so far.
And it also consists of over 250 acres. So a lot of forest land and just a lot of preserved property, which is pretty cool.
After a decade of protest and antagonism, how the British Empire.
This is the second line.
This is.
Right here.
So this
I think
would,
where that road is. I don't know how accurate that is.
so this would be the second line. This would be where they would have run to.
Be sure
and
to
then
face west, towards the direction you just came from. Waiting in the midst of this forest, about 400 yards behind the first line, is Green's second line. Here, 1,200 Virginia militia.
and that's Nathaniel Green.
2 brigades, commanded by Generals Robert Lawson on the north, Edward Stevens on the south. You can imagine these men in a regular line extending parallel to the base of the General Green Monument. Green has placed the men here because he knows the forest, like a vast maze, will confuse and slow down the British infantry.
All right, so over to my right, your left, the road here is the New Garden Road. So that's actually where the second line was located for the Continentals. So the shadows that were up there running this direction, this is where they're running to. It's basically where sounds like where the last stand was, but get more into that as we go forward. But this is where the second line was.
Beautiful through here. Wow. Leaves all changing colors. Quite noisy as you walk on them. Sorry about all that, but it is fall, y'all. In memoriam, Lieutenant Colonel Hal Dixon.
Oh.
Brandywine, Germantown, Monmouth,
Down Ferry, Camden.
Guilford Courthouse. So he didn't die here, but he was here. Signers of the Declaration. This monument honors the 3 North Carolina delegates to the Continental Congress who signed the Declaration of Independence July 4th, 1776. Although Harper and Penn were reburied here in 1894, they had no direct ties to the battle. Okay, so we have William Hooper, Joseph Hughes, and John Penn. All 3 signers from North Carolina on the Declaration of Independence.
All right, so this is the monument to General Nathaniel Green. So if you remember from our videos from Gettysburg, the person or guide was telling us about the horses. And if you look at the feet, it'll tell you what happened to that general. So as you can see, all 4 feet of the horse are on the ground. So that means he survived this battle. Not to mention that on the bottom it says that he died in Georgia in
June 19th,
1786. So it seems to ring true for all Revolutionary War, that how they depict the generals' monuments there, although Gettysburg was the Civil War. So it looks like they just kept on that tradition.
Sure wish they would take care of the leaves.
Yeah. They really need to bring out the chainsaw, as Charlie would call it. The chainsaw is actually our leaf blower. So it needs a little sprucing up, but it is fall.
Charlie would have a blast out here chainsawing these leaves. Here's Second Line Trail. So we are here. So this would ring true to what John was saying, is that the second line's going to go up here, and this is a green monument. And we came from that direction, from the green monument, and then came towards this direction here, where we met up with the actual line for the second line.
Yeah, so where I was saying the road, the modern road, was the second line. It was actually a little bit farther behind, as somebody was saying, right behind the green monument. Because I was like, that's not 300 yards from what it was saying from that first stop, where they ran from line 1 to line 2. So modern roads and everything else, it kind of distorts what you're trying to see. So I'm glad that they have these here to kind of clear that picture for us. But right behind us is a cemetery, which actually was there when this battle took place. So it talks about the line going to the cemetery.
So the cemetery is where the second line started on this end of the line?
On the south side, yep. So we're facing south now. There's a lot of modern,
yeah.
So they probably replaced a lot of things, but it looks so modern. You're like, how is it? But it talks about the cemetery on the tour, the audio tour.
All right, so let's keep going.
So,
Trained soldier with a smooth bullet required 3 or 4 shots per minute. That's a shot every 50. Walk to the interpretive sign close to the Joseph Winston monument.
okay.
Those are the original grave markers. And these are the updated. Oh, that's interesting. That one's 1921. Oh, governor.
Yep.
Okay. But still, the dates don't add up. He was here, though. He just didn't die here.
Yeah, he was the major, but he was governor from 1918 to 1921, or 1821. One year. So this monument is to Major Joseph Winston and those who fought under him. So he and those underneath him expanded the battle, so it was pushed back this way. So again, it went into the cemetery, but also into the woods.
And that's the cemetery. So then it goes past the cemetery more south.
And that goes into the woods. So
There's a hawk. Looking for lunch. Look how beautiful these trees are. In spite of what John might say, these are pretty. What say you?
You got some good glasses.
Really? No. I want to know what your expectations are, because your expectations are really, really high. Kind of sad, really. You can't just enjoy the beauty where it's at. Okay, so here's a map that shows the first line, and then we showed you the second line earlier. So we've walked clear here, so we're here, and we've got a second or a third line here, and then the American third line, and also the courthouse for Guilford Courthouse National Battlefield.
So this one must be where it talks about legend versus reality. So my guess is this is legend, this is reality.
William Washington, cousin of George Washington, led American cavalry against the British Guards. At a critical moment in the battle, the third line trail from the tour stop 6 leads to the actual site of the Dragoons' charge. All right, we got to find tour stop number 6. What is this we're looking at? An obelisk. Peter Francisco. Oh, that's fun to say. Francisco. A giant in stature, might and courage, who slew in this engagement 11 of the enemy with his own broadsword, rendering himself thereby perhaps the most famous private soldier in the Revolutionary War. Well, way to go, Peter Francisco.
He actually has stuff in the visitor center. Some of it is, I think there's a shoe, and I can't remember if his sword's in there or not, but there's some
that would make
of
sense.
his effects in there.
Very cool. All right. Francisco. So much fun to say.
All right, so up here in front of us on the high ground, it's gonna look really high, but that's the American third line. This area to the left and to the right of us was clear at that time, so you didn't see all these trees. The water down below here, that's Richland Creek. So this is where the British crossed Richland Creek and up to the American third line.
Oh, so they went down there and
Basically they came across here. I don't know if this was built up. I'm assuming it was. So yeah, it's an open field, and there was 2 6-pound guns up here to cover this or this space here.
2 6-pound guns, that's all?
All right, so the position of the 2 6-pound guns that we referred to a little bit farther back was this location right here. So these are actually replica 6-pounders versus actually having the ones from that time. I'm going to assume those are in museums if they even exist still. But if you look at the slope of the ground and how much it drops right over here, you're going to have to aim those guns farther down unless you're firing like right when they're right on top of you.
Well, but don't you want them to go up so that they arc a little bit too? Because the weight you're going to have to account for.
It depends. That's going to up is going to reach out farther. It's hard to see because there's so many trees here and how it looks back then. I'm just making assumptions because the guns were overran. So I'm thinking they didn't have them pointed down, and they're not like shells like today.
Nope.
Grape shot would have worked.
Yeah, with those canisters. All right, so we are off on the third line trail, which goes straight through that way where John's going. So let's follow him, see where we end up. here are the guns from the location of where the guns are sitting, and we were standing right over there.
See how the ground slopes?
Yeah, you can see the ground sloping.
That serious drop where the ravine is or the creek goes through.
Could you imagine what it must have been like to load and fire these cannons? But they were pretty much deaf after they got done with the war. Because you know, unless they stuffed cotton in their ears, they didn't have ear protection or anything. All right, this is the believed location of the actual courthouse back then in, oh, what year was that? 1809. So up on that hill right there is where it's believed to have stood, along with a tavern and a jail and 2 other buildings they don't mention. Unfortunately, there is no proof or evidence that that's where it was, so we don't know 100% sure. However, historians have placed it there, and we're gonna go with that. So unfortunately, there's not even a stone to show a cornerstone or a foundation or anything. It's unfortunate, but here we are. So this is what they fought for. Or I guess this is where they fought. The battle's named after the Guilford courthouse. All right, the base of that tree, going up that tree. There's a squirrel. A curious little squirrel. Either he's ready for battle, one of the two.
Jump us.
There's another one up there a little bit farther. Oh, sitting right in the nook right there. In that branch. I don't know if you can see him or not. I feel like I could just spend so much time just looking at the trees and watching the leaves fall and everything. It's so beautiful. Are you still in denial of how pretty it is?
You see, I can see the leaves, but overall I can see the bare trees too, so it doesn't do it for me. But look at a patch of trees, like, yep, that's pretty.
So you want it to be perfect. Otherwise it's not considered pretty.
Not necessarily, but there's a lot of empty trees though.
But that's what makes it fall.
So I get that.
Do you get that?
It's just not the, like, oh, I could spend a bunch of time here just shooting pictures.
I could. Look at that red one.
Not like,
Right? What?
water. So this is a good artist rendering of how the battle went. So British are down here, This is a kind of your first line, sporadic, and then looks like a fallback, so second line, and then the third line up here by the courthouse. So it's a pretty good depiction. It's not as wooded as it is now. So this must be the areas where I was talking about by the creek, because the creek goes right through here on the audio that we were listening to. But still, it's kind of quite a slope there down to this area. And they had the cannons up in kind of like this area.
And
But it looks like they had them up here, so all along here, really. Because there were 6 total guns. There was 4, and then there was 2. It's just not on there.
All right, so let's talk about this guy.
So Lieutenant Colonel Henry Light Horse Harry Lee. He is actually the father of Robert E. Lee. And I'm pretty sure he died before Robert E. Lee seceded from the Union. Kind of a...
It says 1818.
Well, yeah. Well, that's when he died, though. '60s was the Civil War. Alright, so that completes our tour of the Guilford Courthouse battlefield here in North Carolina. For me, it's always difficult to go through a battlefield and try to imagine how it was. I get lost in that versus trying to take pictures and videos, and I'm sure this person's not happy with me. But I guess it's the military person in me that kind of tries to see how it was, and it's just hard to imagine. But anyway, highly recommend it if you are in the area. Come by. I highly recommend going to all the battlefields. That this one was a Revolutionary War, but even go to the Civil Wars. Go to everything that's historical and learn more about our country.
Agreed on everything he said. Yes, it does annoy me sometimes that you don't do pictures and video, but I forgive you. I do want to say that we're here November 2nd, 2022, and in my eyes, glasses or no glasses, it's beautiful. The leaves are changing and falling, and you've got greens and reds and oranges and browns and yellows, and it's just breathtaking. So highly recommend coming this time of year. It's not crowded, it's nice and cool, so you're not going to get overheated. It's a little bit of a walk. I think it's 2.5 miles, so be prepared for that. Bring your walking shoes.
You can drive most of it too if you wanted to. There's more that's kind of down there. It's like a homestead, but
so I would definitely recommend it, especially, you know, just for the history part of the experience and getting to see and put yourself in their shoes and just kind of wonder what it must have been like. I don't do what John does and try and put myself there. I might if I was in something more hands-on, but to me this is just a bunch of beautiful trees and some history and the stories and stuff. So it doesn't mean as much or the same thing to me as it does to him. So very much worth it. Would come back for sure.
all right, so let's wrap this up. So please like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Hit the notification bell so you know when we upload our next video. And always remember to live your dash.
With no regrets.
Till next time.
Have a blessed day. I love fall.